how to concentrate, how to bring concentration to the mind. The nature of the mind is to fluctuate. We say yes, but this is actually very important, because otherwise when we try to sit down to meditate and our mind jumps all over the place, we start to yell at ourselves. Ye bhi nahi kar sakte ho. It's just another excuse to hate ourselves. Ye bhi nahi kar sakte, ye bhi nahi kar sakte. So it's important to understand that it's not our fault. That's the nature of the mind. But the problem becomes with how we try to make the mind stop. Every year we have our International Yoga Festival, and we put up these tents in the back garden. And during the yoga festival, I teach meditation, and I typically teach it in the afternoon session. And the monkeys tend to come out a lot more in the afternoon than the morning. And what happens, and it's this wonderful visual demonstration of what happens in the mind. We sit down for our meditation class, and within 10 or 15 minutes, you'll hear on the cloth roof of the tent, the monkeys will start jumping. And for a moment, everybody's attention goes there, and it's always very funny, and you can see the shadow of the monkey jumping on the top of the tent, and sometimes there'll even be a little hole in the tent, and the monkey's arm will come down in. But it's only interesting for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. You can always go back to the meditation. But then what happens is, the guard, the chokidar, whose job it is to keep the monkeys away, will take his stick and he starts banging on the poles of the tent to get the monkeys to go away, to scare away the monkeys. So 1 minute there were these little monkeys just jumping, slightly distracting, but you're still able to meditate. Now the guard is going bam, 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 shouting at the monkeys. Now you can't meditate. Until that guard stops banging on the poles, you have no chance of meditating. And that's exactly what happens in our mind. The monkey nature is the nature of the mind, like the thoughts. It comes, they jump around. It takes our attention a little while, but then we're able to bring our attention back. But then, when our internal chokidar, our internal guard comes in and starts trying to fight away those thoughts, fight away the monkey nature of the mind, then we don't stand a chance. So the first step is, don't worry about the thoughts. Don't bring in the guard, because the guard is much more distracting than the monkeys themselves. So we first realize the nature of the mind is to fluctuate, like monkeys. Then what we do is we focus our attention not on the thoughts themselves. See, imagine that you were looking at a sky, and the sky is blue, and there's clouds that keep moving across the sky. It's a windy day, the clouds are moving. You have 2 choices when a cloud comes. Either you attach your attention to the cloud and you follow that cloud as it moves across the sky, or you attach your attention to the blue sky in between the clouds. And what most of us do, the clouds are our thoughts, and what most of us do is we attach our attention to the thought. It comes, we anchor ourselves into the thought, and we stay with that thought and we follow it across, and then Bhagwan jane kahan kahan pahunchte hum log, where we reach. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes later, we realize, oh my God, I was supposed to be meditating. Or I was supposed to be concentrating on something. Either way. Instead of that, if we keep our attention on the sky in between the clouds, then the cloud comes, but it stays in our attention very, very briefly because we are focused on the blue sky in between the clouds. So the first key is practice in meditation. If you can attain it in meditation, it will stay with you in the rest of your life, whatever you're trying to do. That stillness of mind. So when you meditate, keep the awareness on the space between your thoughts. When a thought comes, typically we either follow it across or we try to analyze it. Why did that thought come? What does it mean? All of that is just attaching, like gluing ourselves to the cloud. Instead of that, just allow the wind to blow it across your mind and stay focused on the sky in between the clouds. Slowly, slowly what will happen is the space between the thoughts will get bigger and bigger. And the amount of time it takes the cloud to go across, the amount of time it takes the thought to grow across, becomes shorter and shorter and shorter. And you have more time in that thoughtless state. That's in meditation, which of course, one of the benefits is it brings concentration into our life, but of course it has 100 even deeper and bigger benefits. In our waking hours, in our eyes opened, non-meditating, with eyes closed in our temple hours, in terms of concentration, what tends to distract us is the past and the future. If you actually had a video camera and you recorded where our mind goes, it goes to the past. Oh, this shouldn't have happened. How did that happen? Or that should have happened. Why didn't that happen? We rehearse again and again and again. If only I had done that. Oh, I never should have done this. That was my big mistake. We can never rewind our lives, unfortunately. We can rewind cassettes, rewind everything, listen to the same song over and over again. But you can't rewind your life. So going back, I should have done this, I should have done that, doesn't work. There's no point. You can't redo the past, and now you're losing the present. And our other place we tend to stay is in the future. What if this happens? Oh, that shouldn't happen. We prepare conversations for the future. If I say this, he's going to say that, she'll say this, then I'll say this, then that. We're not in the present moment. And when you're not in the present moment, you can never concentrate. You also can never be peaceful. So whatever we're looking for, we can only do it in the present moment. If we're worried about the future or regretting the past, we can never concentrate on the present. So a very, very, very good tool also to use is the breath. If you bring the awareness to the breath, it keeps you in the present moment. It's a very, very basic, simple, easy tool. You can do it eyes open, eyes closed, sitting, walking, somebody's talking to you. If your awareness is on the breath, it keeps you in the present moment. And if you're in the present moment, then you stay focused. Purpose of life. Well, we laugh, and yet, ironically, if we took a poll and I said to everyone, what is your goal? Someone would say, well, my goal is to get this degree, or my goal is to be good at that, or my goal is to make $1 million or $1 billion, or my goal is to be an astronaut, or my goal is to be a Bollywood actor, whatever it is. And yet, we all know on some deep level that probably that's not the deepest purpose of life. Probably the reason that God put us here had nothing to do with making $1 million or $1 billion, or being a Bollywood actor, or being an astronaut. The reason we're put here, the ultimate purpose, is, as I was saying to him earlier, is to have that experiential awareness, that knowing of the self as divine. Because only when we know who we are can we know where we're going. So think about it, the easy way to think is the ocean and water. We have our ocean. The sun shines on the ocean. Water evaporates from the ocean. It comes into the clouds. The wind carries the clouds. The clouds drop that water in different places. So some water is dropped high in the Himalayas. It flows down as our sacred rivers. People pray, take achman, perform arti. Some other water falls in the sewage. People plug their nose when they walk by, brush it away with their brooms. But ultimately, both of them are actually ocean. And both of them are on the same path, which is returning to the ocean. Whether that drop landed in the Himalayas, or that drop landed in the sewage, or that drop landed in somebody's yard, all of our water in the earth, through our groundwater, through our rivers, through tributaries, is ultimately moving back toward the ocean, back toward its source. We call it gravity, but that's just a word. The water is returning to its source. But if it doesn't know that it's ocean, it wouldn't move back toward it. And the problem comes when that water starts to identify as, oh, I'm so great. People pray to me, people do my arti, people take my achman. Wow, I'm so great. And other people, other drops feel, oh, I'm sewage. I'm horrible, I'm smelly, I'm dirty, I'm gross, nobody loves me. Everybody wants to sweep me away. We identify as that without realizing I'm ocean. And so for us, the first purpose is to realize who you are. Because only then can you know where you're going. If I think I'm sky, well, I'm going to head in the wrong direction. I have to know I'm ocean in order to move with gravity back toward the ocean. When I know that I'm divine, well, then that's the direction I'm going to move. Then I'm going to stop focusing on that which separates me from other people. I'm going to stop trying to push people out of my way. I'm going to stop trying to use people as objects. I'm going to stop seeing people as objects. Either objects to fulfill my desires, I lust for you, or objects that are thwarting my desires, you're in my path, you're an obstacle. So the purpose of life is to realize who you are. And then we do whatever we can to clear out the rest of the stuff so that grace can flow. Think about it for a minute. A caterpillar is crawling along the ground, happy to be a caterpillar, right? One day, somehow, it gets a signal, and that signal says, climb a tree. It's never climbed a tree. It's always lived on the ground. But it gets a signal that says, climb, climb. And it climbs the tree. And then the signal says, now go out on the branch. It's never been on a branch. It goes. And then the signal tells it how to weave its cocoon. Must be very scary, wrapping itself up in this thing. And then the signal says, now stay still. And then one day it gets a signal, and that signal says, now break this thing and jump. You can fly. The universe, the divine, by whatever name, whatever form, whatever our religion is, has given a source of intelligence and wisdom to every single creature in creation to know exactly what to do. A seed knows how to sprout. A flower knows how to blossom. A tree knows how to give fruit. They don't need manuals. They don't need coaching sessions. They don't need degrees. We need all of that stuff because we're no longer able to hear that voice within. We're so loud inside that it's like the caterpillar. If instead of being quiet enough to hear the voice that says climb the tree, if instead of that, it was so angry all the time that the millipede has 1,000 legs and I only have 12 legs, and that's not fair, and I never get what I want, and why does he always get more than I get, and look, why did he get 1,000 and I only got 12? That's not fair. If there's so much of that going on in my head, well, I'll never hear the call that says climb the tree, weave a cocoon. So the first purpose of life is to realize that we are divine, and to realize that within us we have that wisdom, we have that intelligence that's going to tell us when to climb the tree, when to go on the branch, when to weave the cocoon, when to break free from the cocoon and fly as a butterfly. And all we have to do is stop identifying as the form we're in right now, so that that chatter can stop, those voices can stop, and we can actually hear the voice within that says, your ocean, move toward the ocean, or climb the tree, weave your cocoon. So once you know that, then you just have faith. Puja Swamiji always talks about our inner GPS. You know, like the cars have that GPS system now that tell you where to go. So we have that inside. He calls it God's perfect system. But if inside the car you're so busy having a fight with the people in the car, you don't hear the GPS say take a right turn, and you lose your way. You have to be quiet enough that you can hear that voice say take a right turn.